how did your Duke experience influence your decision to be an author?
Well, if I could just interject one thing, Katherine, and thank you so much, Katherine and Chris, and thank you to the Duke women of the UK for inviting me to be here this evening. I am truly, truly honored. And one of the cool things about being the Secretary of the US Air Force, I have to tell you, is they give you media training. And one of the things they tell you in media training is no matter what the interviewer asks you, always lead with your affirmative point of what you want to get across. And then, of course, come back and try to answer the question. So I just want to begin by, again, telling all of you that I'm just really honored to have been chosen for this. I hope you have read or will read the book, and I hope there will be some morsels of things in there, some nuggets that will help you in your life's journey. So I would just say that in terms of my Duke experience, Katherine, is that really the first question that I should try to answer? As you heard, I'm kind of older than everybody else around here, class of 79. I should have been class of 80, but I went through in 3 years. I had a 4-year scholarship, and that way I had the first year of graduate school covered by that 4th year of the scholarship, which is why I graduated in 79. To be perfectly honest, I didn't aspire at all to be an author when I was at Duke. But however, the training that I received at Duke, the education, the ability to think critically, and most importantly, to become hopefully what I believe myself to be is a fairly straightforward and clear writer. Writing all those papers, it was a grind at the time at Duke, but I think there was value. I think the other value that I got from Duke, which helped me unexpectedly with this project, was the fact that I took a lot of political science. I took a lot of history courses. My major at Duke was called Comparative Area Studies, which at the time was the closest thing Duke had to international relations. That's what I really wanted to study. And so I did a lot of reading in these courses, of course, about different historical figures, politicians, other people in history who had great accomplishments, but maybe they also had foibles. Maybe they also had failures. Maybe they had things that set them back that they had to overcome. And if you do get a chance to read Aim High, you'll see that it is just as I've described, it's a book of my stories. It's a book of things that happened to me throughout my career, throughout my personal life as well. And it's really about the journey of reaching certain accomplishments and hooray, feeling great about those accomplishments, but also the setbacks and the pivots that you have to make along the way. So I think I did get that inspiration from some of my coursework at Duke as well.
Thank you so much. And I could definitely tell reading your book that it is very authentic to you. And it's interesting that you pulled, that authenticity from some of the historical figures that you learned about through your Duke experience. Next question. Are there any challenges you faced while writing this book? And if so, how did you overcome them on the way to publication?
Wow. Okay. So we have limited time, so I'm going to have to be really brief on this one. It would be much better to do this over the course of about an hour and about 3 glasses of wine, but I'll do my best to summarize. There were tons and tons of challenges. So I'm just going to start out and lead by saying I am not what I consider to be a professional author. I'm sort of like the one book wonder. I thought I had one book in me and I powered through it. I got it done, but I can't imagine ever doing it again. And of all the things I have done and tried to do in my life, this rates right up there with being among, if not the hardest thing that I ever did. First of all, I entered the project knowing absolutely zero about what it took to get a book published. I literally was sort of naive enough to think, well, you write the book and then you send it to publishers. And then people have a bidding war to try to have the pleasure of publishing your book. And of course, if any of you have been through this, you know that that's absolutely dead wrong. You have to have an agent. You have to have a book proposal, which is like a 40-page term paper in and of itself. that not only lays out sort of chapter by chapter the vision of what you want to say in the book, you also have to do market research to see what other books are out there that would be competition or in some way like your book. You also have to have a portion of your book proposal which talks about how you, the author, will sell your book, will market the book. Fun fact I learned, most books that are published, at least in the United States, never even reach 1,000 copies sold. So publishers, if they're going to take a chance on you, want to know that you've got at least 1,000 friends who are going to buy that book, and hopefully a lot more than 1,000 will be interested. Otherwise, they'll lose money on you. So these are all the things that I didn't know. It was through networking that I found a publisher. So through my network of other people who had written books, that publisher helped me write this book proposal, and he then shopped the proposal to different publishers. I did get picked up with one. I had a contract. The contract had an advance, it had royalties, it had deadlines. And then, okay, hooray, I signed, and now I have to start writing. And again, it was like, oh my God, there's deadlines, and this is so hard. Day after day, I would have writer's block. By this point in my career, I had not done original writing for quite some time. You know, I had been in leadership positions. Other people were writing for me. I was at best editing. So I had to really get down and dirty again. I considered a ghostwriter, ended up rejecting that for reasons we can do during Q&A if you're interested. But anyway, eventually powered through and got it written. So bottom line, I didn't enjoy the writing process at all. Like I said, really, really hard. But I do feel, you know, as I said, I had one book in me. I got it published. There is a certain feeling of satisfaction and accomplishment from that. And I've really enjoyed doing sessions like this where I get to talk about it.
Thank you. So what do you, throughout that challenging process and getting through writer's block, and I can only imagine, you know, how exhausting, but at the same time rewarding it was to write your own book. What do you hope that readers take away from the book?
Well, like I said, Katherine, the book is it's sort of part leadership, it's part biographical because it's got a lot of stories in it, and the stories are all things that happened to me. But it's very much about leadership, and it's very much about getting things done. So a full third of the book is case studies of things that happened while I was Secretary of the Air Force, and then how I and the team surrounding me handled those either scandals or those key challenges. I guess the thing that I hope people will take from the book, particularly women, is that, at least in my view, my formula for finding that success, finding that, better said, fulfillment in life, not just professional success, but personal fulfillment. I have found that there's 3 essential actions that I have taken, and I think everybody in all walks of life can take to try to reach that point of personal fulfillment. And those 3 essential actions, and by the way, each action has some strategies underpinning them, but the first one is what I call chart and navigate your own course. So there's lots of people that are out there to help you, and by all means, you should avail yourself of all of those networks and the mentors that you'll find along the way. But ultimately, it's up to you to seize the initiative, to chart, and then ultimately navigate the course. And no matter where you are in your life, I always am a big believer you need a plan A. You need some kind of a plan of attack of what you want to do with your life over the next few years. But for heaven's sakes, you have to be prepared to pivot to plan B, because you never know that there could be a setback, there could be a better opportunity that presents. You have to be agile and be prepared to pivot. So chart and navigate is that first essential action. The second essential action is leading and inspiring teams. So in the beginning of our career, right, we're all individual contributors. That's certainly the way I started out. But eventually, if you want it, you can reach a leadership position. And leading is all about not just telling people what to do, but also giving the context and having that inspiration so that people actually want to follow. And that gets into issues of communication. It gets into issues of how you treat people and putting people first. And it also gets into issues of playing to your strengths as the leader, but embracing the strengths of all of those around you. The third essential action is borrowing sort of the take of Nike. Nike is just do it. My mantra is get things done. So, life is about accomplishing goals. It's about reaching that point of fulfillment, and you got to get things done. And in my opinion, there's a 5-step repeatable process that no matter what your profession, what your family situation is, challenges in the family, et cetera, if you take these 5 steps, you can advance the ball, you can solve problems, you can reach that point of personal fulfillment. So get things done. And again, there's a 5-step repeatable process that I try to explain through these case studies of things that happened while I was Secretary of the Air Force.